Hello, everyone from Volvendo, a space, for now just a voice that, like a spiral thread, wants to evolve with every turn and provide tools for understanding ourselves, for implementing change and transformation. What is the goal? To make our lives a little easier. If we understand the meaning of what happens to us, we can avoid some pain, accelerate our growth, and feel more fulfilled. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce you my very special guest, Viola Rose. Welcome, Viola, to my program.
Hi there. Well, thank you for the welcome. Happy to be
You
here.
you are, among other things, many other things, a sound healer and a facilitator of the Awakening of the Illuminated Heart workshop, as you were a student of Drunvalo Melchizedek. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. I am a sound healer, a musician, a vocalist, a spiritual counselor, and a workshop facilitator for Drunvalo Melchizedek's Awakening the Illuminated Heart workshop.
And for those who don't know who we are talking about, I strongly encourage you to look for information and, above all, to follow his journey through his books. I think it's the best way to know him. And for me, I would like to say that Drunvalo, apart from being the pioneer of sacred geometry, is the master teacher. He represents the basics from which I started more than 20 years ago to study, to understand, and to introspect for my personal evolution. At that time, perhaps I wasn't ready. I found it complicated to put into practice because for me it was difficult at the beginning. But lately I have reconnected with him with the information about Atlantis, Lemuria, the space of the heart, and his incredible work around the world with the sacred feminine and masculine energy. And so on and so forth, and so on and so forth, because his work is huge. So I think he paved the way for us, and then this year I got to know you on the internet on YouTube. So in this first part of the interview, I'd like to talk with you about your learning with Drunvalo Melchizedek. I actually knew you because I saw a video in which you explained the workshop Awakening the Illuminated Heart. And I felt that your way of conveying this message, his message, was so pure and you seem to be him speaking. So in a feminine version. So I'm so excited that you are here today. Yeah, thank you so much. And here we go with the first question. How your learning with Drunvalo has helped you in your life, and how your life has changed when you met him.
Thank you for that. Yes. So, Drunvalo's work, one of the things that I love the most about Drunvalo's teachings is that to me, it is sovereignty training, and that we have everything that we need inside of ourselves, and that we don't need external tools, validation, and teachers if we can access the tools directly within. And
Yeah.
so I think one of the biggest things that the ways that my life has upgraded or changed is because I have stopped looking outside of myself for answers. I'm getting them directly from my own higher self connection and directly from the unified field within my own sacred and tiny space of my heart.
Mm.
Activating my light body, my Merkaba, so that I feel invincible and not vulnerable to negative energies. I just feel so free. And I feel like those are gifts that his teaching embodies. So that way we're not constantly seeking and looking for the next understanding, the next teacher, because we can spend our whole lives doing that. And I
Doing
certainly did.
courses and courses and courses.
Yes, I did decades of that. And ever since I turned 21, I was on a spiritual path, seeking and seeking and seeking, and going to India and ashrams and what's the next course, what's the next book, what's the next understanding, because nothing really got me there. And when I found Drunvalo and his teachings in 2011, I had known of him before then, but really in 2011 is when I started to read all of his books and when I attended my first workshop with him. then I really got it. And I was like, oh, I'm it. I can stop looking. It's all directly within. It's like me, my higher self, directly connected to source. And that's all I need.
So your information is kind of pure.
Yes, right.
And
It's not filtered through everybody else's interpretations. I feel like probably everybody has a certain element of understanding and truth in whatever they're sharing, but it is also filtered through their individual
yes.
vantage point. And so, if we're studying so many teachings, how many different unique spins are we getting on that? When if we can have a direct experience directly within, then there's so much less to filter through.
So it's not a meditation. It just is, it's a connection with your higher self. Or would you define it like this, or a meditation experience?
You know, Drunvalo does have a book called Living in the Heart, and it
Yes.
is a meditation technique as a start. But realistically, it is a lifestyle and it is a way of viewing reality that starts with a meditation technique of learning to get out of your mind and into your heart. And that is a meditation technique that you could start to do every day or numerous times a day. But really, the meditation technique is training for life, because what we want to do is be living in the heart, not just visiting the heart once a day in meditation,
Yeah.
right? The book is called Living in the Heart, not meditating in the heart. And so if we're living in our heart all the time, and we know that we are in that place of freedom and sovereignty, then that is a state of consciousness that will change our experience of life all the time.
Okay. So we are embodying it every day.
Yeah. And of course,
And
it doesn't have to be 100%. It doesn't mean that we have to be 100% in our heart all the time. We just want to flip the scale so that we're living more in our heart than in our brain.
okay.
And that will itself change our reality. And we can get more into that as this interview goes on about what that actually means and what's the difference of living in the heart and living in the brain. You know, we can talk
Yes,
about that
because
as
we
well.
are used to uh, listen to, for example, open the pineal gland and do it mentally and visualizing things, but it's not like that. It's just first be here and then connect with our pineal gland. Is it correct? And then connect with our pineal gland and then access to the information above us. I mean, of our higher self.
Yeah, that is one avenue as well, but also all information can be found directly in the heart without
Okay.
having to go back to the pineal gland.
Ah,
It's
okay.
all there in the sacred space, in the tiny space of the heart, as Drunvalo teaches, that is the unified field. There is a small space within the center of our heart center. Not the, we can access it through the physical heart, but really it's in the center line, in the center, channel where the chakras are, is that
Hmm.
there is a space there that is the same space in everyone. It
Kind of
is the
a small room.
Yes, but it can sometimes open up into be everything, but everyone has that space and it is the same space because it is the unified field. My tiny space and the tiny space of the earth and every other living being is the same place. So because it's our access to connect into everything,
Yeah,
then all knowledge can be found there. All the Akashic records, all the information, anything that we want can actually be accessed directly from the heart, and we
good.
don't need the mind to go and get it.
Okay.
But that is one way to do it. You could actually go into your heart, connect back to your pineal, and get information in that way. But what the pineal has to do to really understand reality is it has to go back into the heart and get the codes that are there. So
Okay.
it really is the heart that is the center point.
It's like the Jesus flame, or the Jesus talked about the flame of the heart, the space of the heart is where everything is connected.
Yes, and there's all those images of Jesus where he's pointing at his heart
Yeah.
and it has that sacred flame. He's like, this is the way.
And it
Yeah,
has nothing to do with religion. We don't want to talk about religion. It's
no.
different, a completely different concept. Okay, very very interesting. Yeah, I I've read the book. I've read the book this summer, but I haven't practicing yet this little space. I'm on it. I will do it.
Well, I
Uh,
will also mention then that in the Living in the Heart book that Drunvalo wrote, he offers two different methods.
yeah,
A masculine meditation way to get into the heart that's more logical, and a feminine, more intuitive way into
intuitive.
the heart.
Yeah,
But also know that in the Awakening the Illuminated Heart workshop, which is the workshop that he created out of that book, taking the understanding of the Merkaba even further and connecting it to the heart, he presents a new way of getting into the heart. And
easier.
easier, and not a masculine way or a feminine way, a way that anyone can do. And he calls it the Jesus way into the heart, or the Coptic way into the heart, because it's a way that he actually found in some old Gnostic texts.
Yeah.
And it's another way of getting into the heart. And so that's the way that we use in the Awakening the Illuminated Heart workshop, because everyone can use it. And so there are options. There's the masculine way, the feminine way, and then the way that is in the workshop. So you could practice it from the book, but if you find that neither way resonates with you, then look to, attending the workshops. You can learn this other
Yeah,
way.
honestly, I think the book is very has a methodology which is kind of strict sometimes.
Right, right. In a
Yeah,
way, all of Drumbelo's books have never been a replacement for his workshops. Like in the beginning, back in the 70s and the 80s, right? In the 80s, he was actually teaching, 1984, I think, is when he brought it forward, the Merkaba and the
yeah,
Flower of Life workshops. But then in early 90s, he came out with the Flower of Life books, which were a transcription of the workshop. But many people would get it wrong if they just studied in the books, and they wouldn't actually learn how to do it right. And so it was a supplement to the workshop, but not a replacement for it. And then he came out with, the Living in the Heart book, which talks about this. But people go, when I teach people, because I teach this work in the Awakening Illuminated Heart, I've taken over 1,000 people through this workshop, over the years.
oh,
And people have such an easier time doing it in the workshop, because it isn't just instruction, it's real time teaching where you can learn this. And soon Drumvalo is coming out with another book called The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volume 3. And
yes,
it is,
yes. We will talk about it later.
yes, and it
Yeah,
is information that is
yeah.
in the Awakening the Illuminated Heart workshop. However, I don't think it's a replacement for the workshop, because it goes hand in hand, right? And so you can really learn it so much different when you're getting questions and answers answered, whereas from a book, it just kind of gives you some basic guidelines. So try it there, and then if it doesn't open up, then just get some guidance.
Is is it really necessary to activate the Merkaba for this work, or we can just enter here and from here expand our, or just tell, I activate my Merkaba, and in this state of consciousness, it activates by itself. I mean, it's very difficult for me to imagine the solid spinning one way and the other way. It's very complicated.
It is complicated, and especially in the old way of the Drumbelo's Ancient Secret of
Yeah.
the Flower of Life books, it was very complicated, and it's not taught that way anymore. In the
Okay.
Awakening Illuminated Heart workshop, it is a much simpler process, and it's really just about getting into your heart. And once you're in your heart, you connect your heart back to your brain through a tantra of the heart, and you create a link, and then you can activate your heart-based living Merkaba. It comes online organically, and you don't need to know about the spinning as much and visualize it. It happens on its own. But you still have to understand the Merkaba if you want to work with it. And going back to your question was, do you have to activate the Merkaba? Um, Depends on what you're asking about. If it's just to get into your heart, no, you can get into your sacred and tiny space of your heart anytime, any day, whether you have activated your Merkaba or not. That is not essential. Living in the heart is primary, and it's the first thing. An advanced step is activating the Merkaba,
Okay.
and it is essential to activate the Merkaba if you want to become an interdimensional, free, sovereign being. And when you die, or if the earth herself were to ascend to a higher vibration, one needs that Merkaba activated to keep their consciousness and their memories intact, to go consciously
Yeah.
into the next levels of existence. Otherwise, people get mind wiped, and they forget who they are at the end of their life,
The
and then they
veil.
get
And
rebooted
they
back.
will come back again and again. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So if you want to step out of the reincarnation loop, it is essential to activate the Merkaba so that your consciousness stays with you when you die.
Okay. This is
And then you
very
have choice.
interesting. It gives information for another interview.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Could you go deeper into the workshop you teach following the Drunvalo's instructions? I mean, has it changed the way he taught before and
It
now?
changed. Well, Drumvalo used to teach the Flower of Life workshop
Mm-hmm.
in the 80s and 90s. And then he taught a workshop called the Earth Sky Workshop, and then the Earth Sky Heart Workshop. Like, it evolved over the years. And then in 2011, he released his, what he was going to call his final workshop, the
Okay.
Awakening the Illuminated
So
Heart.
is that version that you
That is
are
what I
teaching?
teach.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
And he first offered that workshop to the public in 2011 in
Mm-hmm.
Sedona, and I got to be at that workshop. And when I went to it, I thought, this is the most amazing thing I'd ever done.
Wow.
You know? And so then when he said he wanted to train 100 people from around the world to be his facilitators, I just knew that that was for me, you know, and I jumped on it and have been teaching it ever since. So the work is the same as it was. And when his book comes out, there will be some extra things added, that like some updates, but nonetheless, the work stays solid. And it is what he says, everything a person needs to walk the path of ascension.
Okay.
So we learn to connect with our higher self. Now, the higher self is, we hear that term often. What does that actually mean? It means it's us on a higher frequency, a higher dimensional level. So if you have an understanding that we live in a multi-dimensional reality, then we are existing on multiple dimensions at the same time. We
Yes.
are multidimensional. And so we exist in the third dimension where we are now, but we also exist in the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension and so on. And so we can access an aspect of ourself that is existing on the fourth dimension or otherwise even higher. But the fourth dimension, Drumvalo says, is the easiest to connect to because it is more like the third dimension. The
Yeah.
fourth dimension still has a little duality. It's not 5D like we hear about all the time. It's still a little bit of duality and there's still form there. And so it's easy to connect with that fourth dimensional aspect of ourself. So when Drunvalo refers to the higher self, that's what he's talking about, the fourth dimensional aspect of ourself. And that being, or that, it's not really a separate being from us, it is us.
Us.
And that, yes, that is ourself. And that aspect of ourselves doesn't have the the limited understanding that we have here in the third dimension,
Yeah.
because when we came into this life, we went through the mind wipe, and we don't get to remember who we are, where we came from, what we're doing here. If we're lucky, we start to wake up in this life and start to piece that together. But the higher self, the fourth dimensional version of ourself, doesn't have that limited viewpoint, and so knows exactly who we are and what we're doing here. And so, to make the connection with the higher self, we can step out of the limitation of this third dimensional density and really start to get clear and get understanding of who we are, what's going on here, and
And
what we're
what
doing.
we are doing here, because the
Yeah.
question of many people ask is, what am I doing here? What's my mission? What my purpose in life? And they are so lost. Me too. I spent many years trying to find, what am I doing here? Just
Hmm.
paying the rent and be a mother, and it's not enough. I think we have a bigger purpose, and it's very useful to connect, to access to this higher self, to download information very useful
Yeah,
for us. Yes.
for sure. So that's one piece of the workshop. So I'll just, you asking me about the workshop, there's so much I could talk about, but that is one piece that I think is very important. And
Yeah.
especially for that freedom and sovereignty to have that connection. And then we spend the whole 4 days of the workshop revisiting that connection and developing it so that by the time you leave the workshop, you feel like you have a solid connection to that aspect of yourself.
Okay.
And then another piece is is learning about prana and
Mhm.
life force energy, specifically from the fourth dimension, and how to bring that prana into your field and charge yourself up with fourth dimensional energy, because we need that to activate the Merkaba. And so that's a little more complicated, but that's a piece in the workshop. And we also learn to heal trauma from around the heart, because we're all
Mhm.
going to go into the sacred space of the heart in the workshop. We're going to learn how to do that. And some people have trauma around the heart, heartbreaks, losses, big painful things that happen in their childhood or in adulthood that are too painful to feel, so they get lodged outside of the heart. We're going to clear those in a healing ceremony. We're going to learn about belief patterns and how, if we live in an unlimited universe, then what's limiting us? Really, it comes down to our belief patterns. So
Wow,
we
yeah.
really talk a lot about belief patterns and how do we shift that?
Change,
Yes, to open up the ceiling
reverse. Yeah.
so everything becomes possible. And then when we have our healing ceremony, after that, then we're ready on day 3 of the workshop to then start going into the sacred and the tiny space of the heart. And this is something that everyone has within them, and they may have been to before. Sometimes people go there in the workshop and they're like, oh, this place, I've been here before. I just didn't know what to call it. So it can sometimes be a familiar place for people, and sometimes it's new. But we learn how to move from the mind, because most people are living in their mind.
Yeah.
And if you ask somebody, I'm not my body, I'm a spirit inhabiting my body, where am I located? And you ask a person to ask that of themselves, most people will say that they're living in their mind. That's where their consciousness is, because we get trained at a very young age with our schooling and whatnot to be in our mind, to be not be in our emotions, not be in our imagination, but to be in our logic. And so we have
Knowledge.
learned, yes, we have learned this default of being here. And when we're in our mind, and if we're co-creating our reality or even creating it fully, and we're doing it from the mind, which is the default, because most people are oriented in the mind. So they are, whether they're conscious of it or not, they're creating their reality from the mind. And the mind is a dualistic organ.
Has the opposite effect.
Yes, exactly.
So it's
It is both.
polarized. Yeah.
It is polarized. Exactly. It is a left side and a right side. And so any creating that we do from the mind will also be polarized. So
Yeah.
people might try to manifest a good thing for their life, and they'll get it. And they think that this method of manifesting is good, but they don't realize that also, if they do it from the mind by thinking it, visioning it, creating a vision board, whatever, just like thinking these things into reality, they're going to create what they want, but they're also going to create exactly what they don't want, because that's the nature of duality.
Yeah.
And so that means that people spend their life up and down, good and bad, on like a roller coaster. And when one learns to get out of the mind and move with their consciousness into their sacred, unified place of the heart and live from there, the heart has no duality. The sacred space of the heart is in unity consciousness. It is connected to God, it is connected to love and source energy, and the prime reality of all that is beyond all these matrix illusionary hologram constructs. And so if we can tap into that, then we can start creating reality from grace without the negative aspects.
Yeah.
So this is huge. It's so huge. And so what we learn in the workshop is how to do this, how to get into our heart. And we start to get familiar with the pathway of moving, of actually traveling inside of your body, moving down into your heart and being here. And maybe you start with a meditation, like I said earlier, where you get set up there in the morning, but then you're going to go about your day. And as the day goes on, something's going to shoot you back into your mind, into judgment or frustration. And you could be like, oh, I'm so not in my heart right now. Ah, but I know how to get back. And so then you just go back in and you do the few minutes that it takes to get back into your heart.
Breathe.
So the practice becomes returning,
Yeah.
returning,
Returning. Yeah.
just continuing to return to the heart. And you're training yourself to live from there instead of the duality of the mind.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, so then we also are going to learn how to connect the heart back to the brain through a tantric practice involving the tip of the tongue, a
Oh yeah, the
meditation,
difficult part, I think.
yes, of stimulating the mind so
Yeah.
that way we can create enough alpha waves to open the third eye and activate our sort of extensions that come out of our pineal gland
Yeah.
that are psychic
The
sensing.
rays
Yes,
expanding
yes.
the head. Yeah.
Yeah, and all these different amazingly advanced practices.
Mm.
And what that leads to is the ability on the fourth day to learn how to line everything up in the right way so that we can activate our Merkaba, our light body, our
Okay.
interdimensional vehicle that will allow us to die consciously and to travel into other realms. So we learn to activate that. We learn how to program it, how to take care of it, how to create external Merkabas, and then also how to create reality from the tiny space of the heart. So that's a lot of really advanced stuff, and it's mind blowing and it's super activating. And by day 4, people are like, "Oh my God, this is profound," you know.
Yes, but are
So
they able to reproduce it by themselves at home? I mean, alone
yes,
without
yes,
also the rays of the head? It's so
yeah. You know,
difficult
people when people learn it in the workshop, and then but I also have ongoing
because you have to
study.
remember, I listened to him and he was like, okay, now first ray, imagine, then second, and then third one. Then the tongue. It's so difficult for me to.
It is difficult. It is a lot. And yet I really, the way that I teach is to make sure that everybody has it and they understand it. And then I give them notes after of the steps. I have recorded some of the meditations that guide people through it that I can offer after as a study guide.
Yeah,
And then 4 times a year, I offer a refresher gathering for anybody who's done the workshop just by donation to come together, and I go through all the steps again so people can continue to practice this. And the reason I do all that is because, like I said, before I found this work, I was also going to the next workshop, the next, what's the next book? What's the next
yeah,
teaching? And that's my nature too. I'm a seeker. The people who
me
are
too.
drawn to this kind of
Yeah,
work, right? We are seekers. And so the tendency can be to take this workshop, practice
information,
it for
information, information, information.
exactly at 2 speed, just inputting, inputting.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I have to study more, and I'm not ready. But we are ready. Actually,
Right.
we
And
are.
so if people take this workshop and then they practice it for a little bit and then they get distracted and they move on to something else, they're missing out. Because I'm in the unique situation that I'm a teacher of this work,
Yes.
that means that for me, even though my nature as a Sagittarius is to going, what's next?
Oh,
What's
me
next?
too.
What's
I'm
next?
Sagittarius. Which day?
20 November 24.
Okay. I'm
And when are
December
you?
18th,
Okay,
December.
other at the other end, yeah. So the tendency can be to go onward, onward to the next
Yeah.
thing. But because I'm teaching this, it forces me to live it and breathe it. And I keep teaching the workshop. I've taught well over 100 of these 4-day workshops. And so I keep coming back to it. And I live it and I breathe it so that I can be an example for people coming to the workshop. So because of that unique position that I'm in as a facilitator, I know and understand how valuable this work is and how important it is if you make it a part of your life instead of just take it like it's a workshop and move on to something
Yeah.
else. And so that's why I'm such an advocate for it. And then I offer these refreshers and I offer ongoing coaching so that people can actually implement it. Because when you get these pieces and they become a part of you, you really don't need anything else outside of yourself anymore.
Yeah. Wonderful.
And I'm just a fan. I love Drunvalo as well. I love what he brought through. I love the work itself. And so I'm just a huge fan of it, even after all these years. I love it just as much as ever. And the gifts that it continues to give and open up for me continue to be profound.
Yeah. I thank you so much in the name of all the world because I think you are the person who is. I think I don't know if you are the only one, but I don't see many people around the world that are doing this now.
Yeah, there are about 104 or so teachers that are certified And Remembering the Heart is the website that people can go to find a teacher.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I probably the
You
most
are very
enthusiastic.
active. Yeah. I
And
understand you. Yeah.
right, and I really really love this work, and so I do put out a lot of videos on my YouTube channel talking about it, explaining it, offering introductory classes,
Yes.
offering these follow-ups. And also I live nearby to Drunvalo, and so I have sort of become the his sort of public liaison, to the world. And him and I are currently, building this YouTube studio, and we're going to start recording
Oh,
videos
yes,
together.
I want to
Yeah, and
ask.
he wants me to be able to have all his information and carry on this work. And
Okay.
so I am in a unique position in
Yes.
that, because we are very connected, and so he is sharing a lot with me, and wants me to really understand his body of work, and really get these activations so that I can carry it on.
Ah,
So
see,
um,
so I have the opportunity now to tell you what happened to me this year with
please
him.
do. Yes.
It was February, I think February, March, and I dreamt about him, and I was reading, I think was finishing this first book, The Flower of Life, and I dreamt about him and said to him, Drunvalo, what are you doing? What happened with you? I mean, we don't see you anymore on YouTube. We are waiting for your third book, but where is your third book of The Flower of Life? We still need you. You can't disappear in this way. You know, we need you here. We need you come back again. And it was so lucid, kind of lucid dream. It seemed real, and he was in my room, and he told me I need to concentrate because I'm writing and finishing several books, and they will be published as soon as possible. But I need to finish this work. And so I woke up and I was like, my God. And I wrote to the publisher, and I asked so when is the Drunvalo book going out? And 2 weeks later, they replied that the third book was about to be published, that I had to check on the website of the publisher. So then 2 weeks later, I saw your video with Drunvalo explaining that you were collaborating with him for the publishing of the third book. And so I thought, my God, I had this perception was right. So I tell you this because I feel really connected to him, and I think is we still need him. He's a great help for humanity, and his message and his work. I think despite his age, we need him. We still need him here.
Yeah,
So
I know that we do. Yeah. And I think that's why I've been so motivated to try to get him out there. You know,
yeah,
um, I made that short video with him, like, don't you want to say something? And I had to kind of like, don't you want to say something to the world? They want to see you. They want to hear from you. Let's
yeah,
just make a short video. And so he did, but he also isn't allowed until the book comes out to
yeah.
really talk too much about this new information, because his publisher is concerned about copyrights, right? So
Ah,
he's
okay.
waiting, but she gave us the permission that I think in December we can start to talk publicly
Ah,
together
okay.
online. So we're just kind of waiting for
Yeah,
that. We're
because
building the
my last
studio.
my question was, can you tell something about this new book,
Yeah,
or
I can't tell too much,
can't?
no.
Okay,
But it will be a lot of the information that is in the Awakening the Illuminated Heart Workshop, plus some new information and
okay.
some updates. And so, and your vision, your dream that you had from Drumbala was incredibly spot on, because that's exactly what he would have said, is that he is very busy and he's trying to stay focused,
I need
and
to
he's not.
concentrate now. I
Yes.
can't. So it was, but it was so close in the heart. I felt it
Mhm.
so deeply inside.
What he's working on now is volume 4. And volume 4 of The Flower of Life is what
Yeah,
he really wants to talk about. But it's so advanced that unless a person really understands the awakening of the illuminated heart, they wouldn't understand the information. So he had to put out a book, volume 3, about the information of the awakening the illuminated heart, so people can at least have an understanding and a foundation so they can understand volume 4.
yeah,
So that's where it's going.
incredible. Yeah.
And he's doing great.
That video with you was incredible. I felt so happy to see him again.
Yes, I
Uh,
know. So many people did. It really just it made so many people's hearts light up
yeah.
to see him.
Then
And
I
he is,
saw a photo with you and his wife in an event on Instagram, and I thought, oh, she's so lucky, you know. You are so lucky to be
I
so
know.
close to him.
I know.
Uh,
It's incredibly blessing, and to get to spend time with him is profound because he really is, I think, the most in his heart
Humble.
person I've yes, I mean, that's I think why people love him so much because he's so genuine.
Yeah.
He's so humble and he's so pure in his
Yeah.
heart. And I get to watch him just because I'm just at his house hanging out with him, doing projects, doing whatever we're doing. And I see how he is, and he really is more in his heart than anybody I have ever met. He is
Yes.
so like a child. He is so innocent. He is so pure. He doesn't care about anything that the ego would care about, and he doesn't care about money, he doesn't care about all that stuff. He is pure, and I get to be and see that living example.
Yeah.
He is 100% genuine and doesn't misrepresent himself at all, and he's so humble that he will even admit sometimes I don't always get it right, or some information in the past maybe needed to be changed, like he's not claiming absolute truth, but he knows what he is talking about when it comes to the heart and living in the heart because he lives it and breathes it. And it's wonderful to get to witness it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have the privilege to stay close to him and to work with him
Yeah,
just
and the
nearby.
reason that I do is I was living in Portland, Oregon. I was, which is like a 2.5 days drive away from here. I was nowhere near here. And then during the COVID times, when everything got really weird in the cities, my husband and I were like, we got to get out of here. We need to move away from the city. And where do we want to go? And we were looking at many, many different options. And then I did a meditation on it. And my higher self told me, move to Sedona to help keep Drunvalo's work alive.
Oh,
And that was my assignment. And it was very, very clear. And so I came here not knowing what that meant or what my role would be, but I knew that I was here to help keep his work alive. And then, sure enough, of course, we crossed paths. We're talking. Now I'm helping with the book. Now I'm helping him with the studio, and I really am helping to keep his work alive and to keep it out to the world. So there's more. There's more of a emphasis on the importance of connecting with your higher self because it
yeah.
will guide you exactly in the ways that you need to be guided so that you can be on your path with clarity.
Yeah. I'm so grateful. He's in my life. I'm so connected from the heart. I feel it really. And so are you recording with him in the studio?
So we
Meditations or
No, no, it's gonna be like a YouTube channel, and
okay.
I created a separate YouTube channel for him on my own, separate from my own, and that will be his official video because he wants to talk to the world,
Okay,
and
good.
he wants to share the information that he's getting as soon as the book comes out. So that is the purpose of it. We did go into the recording studio together last month, a couple months ago, to record the audio meditations for the volume, the Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volume 3.
Mm-hmm.
So because there's going to be like 25 different audio tracks that go with the book,
Okay.
and he did about 5 of the meditations himself, and I recorded the rest. And so there was some recording that happened, but there'll be
Good.
some guided meditations that'll be
Awesome.
with the book. Isn't that exciting?
We are waiting.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's still coming. So, people have to just even be more patient, but it is pretty much completed, and it has to go through a publishing process to be translated in many different languages. And that can take about 6 months. And so that it's released around the world at the same time. That's what the publisher wants to do, and rather than in different languages at different times for copyright protection. Drunvalo is very popular, and there has been many people taking his information and claiming it as their own,
Yeah.
publishing books on Amazon. And so, because of his unique role, the publisher is very protective and wants it released in every language at the same time so that none of those complications
Oh,
happen.
so good.
So
Yes.
it will come. Yeah.
And do you think humanity is ready for this information right now?
I think enough of humanity is.
Enough.
Enough, yeah. I don't
Okay.
think that everyone wants this information, and it probably wouldn't resonate with some people, but from what I see in my workshops, because 'cause I'm teaching this workshop, probably every 2 months or so online, every 3 or 4 months in person, and then I also have a self-study course that a person can go through in their own pace. So I'm constantly tracking people, receiving this teaching, and people just drink it in and absorb it. The people who come to the workshop, who find it, are so ready and can activate this. And yet, somebody else, just if I pulled somebody in off the street, they may have and no reference for it. And not everybody has to be ready. And even
Okay.
Drunvalo will say that his information is not for everybody.
Not
It's
for
not meant to be.
everybody. Yeah.
It just certain people who maybe made that agreement to wake up in these ways at this time will find it and will activate their Merkaba and will activate these things. But it doesn't have to be everyone right now.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Okay. It talks in the video about the new sun. Has it something to do with the new frequency we are Mother Earth is experiencing?
So yes,
I
so
mean,
the news,
light and new frequency, the higher frequency we are living now.
yeah, I think it does. And what Drumbelow says is that there is a new sun in our sky. It is not the same sun that was there before. That sun has died, and we have a new sun. And it's a young sun, right? It's more like the consciousness of a teenager, but it is a
Okay.
really powerful energy. And this sun has created a consciousness sphere around it, a frequency sphere, and the earth has done that as well. And so there is these higher energies that are coming from the earth and the sun
And
that
the
we can
sun.
tune into. Yes, that
Okay.
we can, and if we tune into them, we can start to evolve much faster and faster as well. And so, yes, and he wants to talk a lot when we get our YouTube channel going about the new sun and the new sphere around the earth and how to connect to that. And so until that time, just experiment with it. Do a meditation with Mother Earth or the sun and feel into them and invite them to let their consciousness into you and absorb that energy and explore with it and see if it feels different to you. And so we get to be our sort of own researchers in this, even before he gives us his guidance. Let's just use
The
the time to explore
pioneers
on our own. Yes,
as usual.
yes.
Yeah. So it's wonderful, wonderful work. I really thank you for your role with him because I think you are doing a great job and you are
Thank
the
you.
right person. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I guess I am. I ended up here in this role, and he says it too. He's like, "You're the perfect person to
Yeah.
be this sort of bridge." So I am just honored to be here, and like I don't know, after his time on Earth is done, I may move away, go somewhere else. But like right now, this is where I'm meant to be, and I'm having the time of my life doing it.
Oh,
It is an amazing honor. Yeah,
yeah.
and it's so fun.
So thank you so much. I think for the first part, it's okay. If you want to add something to this small interview, you
Yeah,
can.
well, I'll just say if somebody is interested to learn more about Drunvalo, if Drunvalo is new to you from this interview, you can read the book Living in the Heart by
Yeah,
Drunvalo as a place to start. You can go to my YouTube channel, which I'm sure will be linked
this book.
here. There's the book. And then my YouTube channel is Viola Rose, which is my
Yes,
name, Viola, Viola Rose. I have my own YouTube channel, and there's lots of videos and
information.
introductory 2-hour classes I've done about the work. You can get an overview there. And you
Yes,
can
I
also,
will leave the link in the
right.
comments
Yeah,
of
and so
this
and then
video.
my website is violarose.com, and so I on there I have my schedule of all my upcoming workshops. I do them online, I do them in person in Sedona.
Good.
I do a self-study course that you can go at your own pace. And if you really want to attend in person, but you're not near Sedona, you can find a teacher in your part of the world by going to rememberingtheheart.com, where you find Drumbalo's other facilitators as well who are offering workshops around the world.
Okay, I will do it with you. I think.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Viola. I hope to meet each other in another interview in the second part. We
Yeah,
love
right.
to.
We're going to do a second part of the interview, and I can
Yeah,
talk about my other love
yeah.
and passion in life, which is music and sound healing.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Delightful to spend this time with you. Really
Oh,
sweet.
thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you. And please tell Drunvalo that I love him.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Okay, that it was in my dream, and I'm sure. Okay. Thank you so much, Viola.
Okay, much love. Bye bye.
Bye.